patient was not mobile, so he can't really, you know, stand up and go to the toilet. And then later on, maybe after a few minutes, I don't know who reported me, but thank you for reporting me. But anyway, one of the sister like told me like you know, I can't really do that because like we're preserving dignity and privacy for the patient, which was a bit a shock to me, because like, but like what could have I done then? Because like I'm new, I'm just trying to help. Hey guys, it's Danica and welcome back to my channel. To those who are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Danica. I'm a registered nurse in the Philippines, here in the UK, and just recently qualified in the US as well. If you're new here in this channel, then I encourage you to click on the subscribe button below and also the bell button beside it so that you will be notified every time that we have an update. So for today's video, I actually entitled it NHS is stricter than you think. Just for the basics, NHS stands for National Healthcare System, which means it's their government hospital here in the UK. It's not really common to go private here, because why would you go private when you actually have a healthcare? Not unless you really want to be prioritized or something like that, because waiting times has been really long for everything really being seen and having surgeries. Anyway, this video is just going to be based on my experience coming from the Philippines and comparing it here in the UK, because I was thinking there are things actually that when I was working in the Philippines as a nurse, it's very different when I came here. And actually I'm going to tell you some experiences which is embarrassing, but I think you will learn from it, because like I didn't know anything much really that, you know, there are certain like really stricter rules. Obviously I didn't think initially that, you know, these things that we've been doing in the Philippines is actually more taken seriously or more being observed here in the UK when I worked here. So yeah, anyway, this is just gonna be again based on my experience, guys, and this is nothing against the NHS. This is just some of the things that probably surprised me, like, okay, I should really be paying more attention to this and that. So yeah, so if you're coming from a different country, maybe India or in the Middle East, maybe it's also different. But yeah, this is all based on my experiences working in the Philippines and here in the UK. So yes, if you guys are interested in this video, then please keep on watching. NHS is stricter than you think. So basically in the Philippines, I feel like even though it's a government hospital, sometimes everything is just different, you know. We don't really have that common, like for example policy, that common standards for every hospital in the Philippines. Maybe there is, but I don't think it's as standardized as here in the UK, because obviously NHS is a big organization. So even though I'm coming from a different trust before in Devon and now I'm working here in Cornwall, everything just feels similar because, you know, it's still the NHS, so that felt like that. But in the Philippines, if you're gonna go from another government hospital to another place, it might be just completely different depending on whoever, you know, runs the hospital. Also, since the NHS is huge, they actually have different departments monitoring everything, you know, health and safety, infection control, social media, and things like that. So in the Philippines, we don't usually get those things. Maybe there is, but it's like a proper big department here in the UK, whichever trust you're working. Let me tell you something about about my first few days here when I was still supernumerary, when I haven't had my PIN yet. So as you all know, I started in the emergency department, and it is a very busy department. It's actually crazy thinking about it now. And because it's really busy, it's not ideal, but we do corridors before where you put the bed there, and you know, basically they don't have really a bay, but it's not ideal, but they do that because, you know, there's no beds anymore. And I was still new, and like one of the relative of a patient that told me that the patient wanted to pee. So we usually have like the bottle that we give to the patient. So obviously thinking I did the right thing, so I gave them the bottle, and then I was trying to like hold like a blanket or something, just to like, for example, like this one is the blanket, just to cover like the patient while he's actually peeing in the corridor. So he's a male, so that's, you know, that's easier because, you know, you just need to put the bottle in and he can pee. And then later on, so thinking like, okay, I did a good job, I'm just new, but at least I did something, you know, because the patient was desperate for a pee. The patient was not mobile, so he can't really, you know, stand up and go to the toilet. And then later on, maybe after a few minutes, I don't know who reported me, but thank you for reporting me. But anyway, one of the sister like told me like, you know, I can't really do that because like we're preserving dignity and privacy for the patient, which was a bit a shock to me, because like, but like, what could have I done then? Because like, I'm new, I'm just trying to help and things like that. So these things, even though you think you're actually helpful, if it doesn't go with like the standards of the organization, it might not be right, even though you're just trying your best to be helpful. So that's one of the things you need to keep in mind, because in the Philippines, obviously they're not very strict. Maybe you know, the charge nurse is not very strict on those things, and as long as you've actually done your best, because it's really common in the Philippines to improvise, like to be creative, to be, you know, in doing things, you know, but that can't be a standard here. That can't be like the practice here in the UK, obviously, so just beware. Anyway guys, as we move forward to this video, let me just read what I write down, because it's difficult sometimes to just go with the flow as I'm actually speaking. So I said here, know the standards, policies, and values, because the NHS has those. So these things you will see in the contract or in the welcome pack. So if you're new here, always ask for a welcome pack if they haven't given it to you. And even though you transfer in a different department, they will always give you a welcome pack, because then it will say like, you know, everything that you need to know about the NHS, policies, procedures, sickness, annual leave, your salary, and you know, the things that you need to accomplish. So it should be all in there in the contract or in the welcome pack. Also guys, if you're working in the NHS, we have this mandatory trainings, or mandatory trainings silent mandatory trainings. I know you've heard about this from me many times, but if you're in the NHS, it is a mandatory training, so you actually need to accomplish it. You actually need to attend, to comply to these trainings, which is not actually bad at all, because it's free, and of course it keeps you up to date with everything. So especially if you're an international nurse here, for example, manual handling, safeguarding, infection control, everything is new really. So these trainings will help you actually how, you know, how it's done, and the knowledge you'll also get from everything. And also at the same time, it's actually counted towards your CPD, which you need when you actually renew your license here in the UK every after 3 years. I'm gonna mention this, I know it's probably common sense already. Here it's strictly no phones at work. Like strict means strict, like not even like checking it from time to time, even though just for a minute, and things like that you really can't. And to tell you a story again, when I was still new, towards the end of the shift, like one of my friends called me, and like I'm this like new nurse who actually took out my phone and like, yes, hello, blah 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 blah. So I was like speaking to him, although it's like towards the end of the shift, like we're just waiting for a handover. And then I was told off again because, you know, can't really answer phone calls. You just can't really use mobile phones at work. Yes, but obviously if you're on the break and, you know, you really are waiting for an emergency call and things like that, you just need to tell your manager or the sister in charge. So yes, but without those things, you cannot, please don't use your phone. Also guys, just a small note actually, if you've noticed, if you've been working here now, you can't sit that much. I don't know why I'm saying this, but this is something that I've noticed actually when I was working in ED. There's not much chairs really, and you feel like you're obliged to stand up, even though sometimes you just want to sit down, because it's not just, you know, it's not common to just, you know, sit down and not do anything. If we're sitting down way back in ED, it's because you're documenting something. So it's not really like a common thing to just sit down and do nothing, if that makes sense. And next, uniform. So, as you all know, we don't wear white uniforms here in the UK. We have scrubs. There are different types of uniform actually. Scrubs, tunics, and the dress. So depends on the trust, depends on what you choose actually. I think you can choose whichever you want, but those are the 3 types of uniform that you can have. So uniform policy depends on how strict your trust is. So I feel like in my present trust, they're actually stricter with the uniform, which is not before where I was. So for example, I was told off because the sole of my working shoe has like has a white part on it, so it can't be. I was told it needs to be pure black and it should be wipeable, not the fabricy one. So things like that. And also like we couldn't wear uniform after the shift. We need to change, but way back in the trust I worked before, it's fine whether you go in and out with the uniform. So it just really depends. Also in my present job, actually you need to put your name badge and show your ID, and like it's all part of the uniform, and you know, things like that. And obviously wherever you are in the world, you can't have long nails. That's really common for nurses, and you can't have, you know, varnished nails really. You can wear your ring if it's just plain. It shouldn't be with like stones or things like that. And again, we don't wear wristwatch, we wear fob watch as well. Hair needs to be tied up, not necessarily like, you know, super like tied up, like, you know, you need to like make a bun or something, but obviously it needs to just be tidy up, so you know, it's not in your way when you're caring for the patient. Also guys, in connection with the uniform, I just want to say you cannot really take photos or videos with your uniform. That's against the policy of the NHS. I think this is a general rule. So I admit I am guilty of that because I have some videos wherein I am wearing uniform, but that's because I didn't think how serious some trust could be about wearing the uniform, because I see actually some work colleagues that's wearing uniform and they're taking photos in social medias and things like that. So yes, for me it felt like it's a gray area, because sometimes they will post pictures anyway if like they're thanking like an organization for something and things like that. And I don't know, it just didn't feel like it was a big issue. Like it just felt like a gray area to me again. But yeah, just better not to wear your uniform when taking photos or videos, which was my mistake. So that's really bad. I know. And for some of you guys who was saying, oh, can you make like a day in the life of a UK nurse? I don't know how others actually manage to take videos while working, but I'm really scared of that because I don't think it's right. I just think that's a scary thing to do, because what if someone from work actually reported you that you're actually doing videos for a vlog while you're actually in work? And also because guys, the public opinion here in the UK for NHS workers is, I'd say, for me personally, I feel like it's super valued. Like it's a big deal whatever the public says about you. Like for example, in COVID before, I've read comments like, you know, they're not really doing much because there was, you know, there were no patients coming in yet they're getting paid, so things like that. So yes, yeah, just be very careful actually, because you know, your social media is actually being monitored while you're under the NHS. So you can't just say, you know, bad things about the NHS about work, and you can't just be a whistleblower because that's just against what the rules or like the policies are. So just be very careful guys if you're here, because you know, we're public workers here. So yes, I think that's it guys. I don't know what I've talked about for the past minutes. I keep on retaking stuff because I don't know if I'm making sense, but hopefully I did. And I hope you guys learned something and enjoyed this video as well. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you again in my next one.